Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Matt from flipweekly.com. You're listening to the Flip Weekly podcast. This is a podcast all about reselling. Now, this week we had a huge week. Now, this was the Garage Sale Trail Week 1. This is Australia's biggest weekend, 2 weekends actually, of garage sales. There's something like 4,000 plus sales going on at the moment, and the founders of this garage sale trail like to spruik that there's like 4 million items to be had too. Now, how many of those 4 million items did we buy this week? Did we find some gems to resell? Did we strike lightning like we did last year? Last year we made so much fucking money. We were finding holy grail items. We were finding some of the best shit you can find at garage sales. So the expectations this year were really high. And I mean, I was bringing people along this year. So after hearing about the success, everyone is just expecting to walk into a garage sale and just find $1 million items. What I'm going to do for you, because we have a lot to get through. I mean, when I was writing out the Flip Weekly newsletter, I think it's the biggest one I've ever written in terms of the amount of words. It's like 5,000 plus words. So I reckon we should just get into it. I'm going to tell you all about the items that I found this week. I'm going to run through the sales. I'm going to tell you about items that I'm finding at these garage sales for like $2 and listing them up on eBay for in excess of $150. These are items that I think we are finding. Now, I say I think our knowledge has gotten better since last year. I think that we're able to spot hidden gems a bit better. I mean, we've been doing this now for so fucking long that surely we have some sort of knowledge implanted in our brain that we can just walk into a sale and find something that is going to resell for a lot of money, at least compared to last year. So we have more knowledge under our belt. We have 30 plus garage sales to go to each and every day. We have a wallet full of cash, a car full of petrol. How the fuck did we do? Let's get into it. I mean, I'm hyped, man. I hope you can hear it in my voice. I am fucking hyped to tell you about this weekend. I mean, last weekend. And then I hope that if you didn't go last weekend and you're a bit apprehensive about going, you're going to hear about all of these items that I bought, including things that I've already sold, and you're going to be like, fuck, I need to go out there and see what there is because I like money. You know, I need money. Let's do this. I'm going to tell you all about it. So we're going to start off with Friday night. So the day before the sales had started, this is what I did. I went onto the Garage Sale Trail website. I looked at the map and I saw what was within the radius of the area I was going to travel. The plan was on Saturday to drive an hour south to where my sister lives, outside the city in an area where I wouldn't run into anyone else, and try and be the first to all of these sales. So Friday night, created the route, and I was telling Sam all about this. Sam, my younger sister, I was telling her all about what we were going to be doing, and I said, look, I've just done the route. She's like, great, I'm excited. How many? And I sent through a photo. I was like, there's 28 of these things. And I don't know if she was that excited after hearing 28 garage sales. That means driving to the first one, getting out, going in, coming back to the car empty-handed, going to the next one, having to do the small talk with all of these people. I mean, I don't want to get onto a tangent just yet, but the small talk that you have when you go to a garage sale, it's always the same stuff. You know, the person that's hosting the garage sale will be like, oh, so you're doing the trail, are you? And then obviously, yeah, just I've been to a few. How's the trail been for you? Yeah, not too bad. You know, is there anything you're looking for in particular? Nah, just browsing. I mean, it's the same shit every single fucking time. We had 28 garage sales all around that area that she lives in. That was all written down, okay? And I would be leaving the house at about 6 o'clock in the morning, get to hers at 7, and then we're going to start. We're going to drive to the first one, the one that was furthest away from her, and work our way back, you know, go from one to the next until we do almost a complete loop. That's what we want to be doing. We don't want to be starting off at the furthest one, at the closest one, working our way away from her place and then having to drive all the way back. I have a specific way I like to do these things, and that's just how I do it. So we do that, full tank of gas, all the cash, you know, we're a snack family. We have all the snacks, we have all the energy drinks, and trust me, you need the fucking energy for these garage sales. It can get exhausting. This was a 36-degree day. The grass is looking dead. I'm fucking sweating every time I get out of the car. Mostly because I'm nervous that we're not going to find anything and this will be a gigantic waste of time. And it just runs you down, especially when you're walking back to the car and you have nothing and you're like, well, that was shit. So anyway, we have all of this stuff and we're going to start. All right. I go to Sam's, pick her up, say hi to my niece and nephew. There we go. We're off. I'm wanting to really set the tone for the day, and I'm wanting to do something that I do when I go Christmas shopping. Now, if you ever gone Christmas shopping and you don't have a list of what you want to be buying for people, you can get into that zone of just going from shop to shop and thinking that it's useless. You're going to leave with nothing. I've found that the best way to combat that is to start on a high. You want to be buying something in the first shop you go into, so you've started things, you're getting the ball rolling. And that's the mindset I wanted to have with these garage sales. I wanted to go into the first one and just buy something. And when I go into a thrift store, I have that $100 threshold. I want to be turning a dollar into $100. I want at least $100 sale price. But for these garage sales, when I'm buying for both me and Sam, I want to be able to leave with something that I'll be able to sell, she'll be able to sell. So in a way, I'm lowering my standards. And that might seem a bit egotistical by saying like lowering my standards, but just know that where I'm coming from, I want to be leaving with stuff. I want to be starting out, on a roll. That's really what I'm wanting to do at this first garage sale. So we rock up, and this garage sale that we went to first, it might have had the most bizarre, eclectic items for the entire day. They were cool stuff. At a garage sale, you can be in and out within like 30 seconds. You immediately know that this is all shit. It's all boring. It's like when you go to your nan's house and there's absolutely nothing there for kids to play with. It's sort of like that. But this was completely different. I mean, this old woman had, those old vintage clapping monkeys that you see in horror films? She had stuff like that. She had like these mink scarves, and I picked it up and then I realized that like, oh, it's not just the fur, the fucking body is like sewn onto this scarf too. I'm like, oh fuck, put it down. And yeah, there's just all that sort of weird stuff. And while we didn't buy that, some of the prices were pretty high, and would come to find that a lot of these garage sales that we're going to now have sort of eBay prices, but we didn't walk away with anything that great from that garage sale. But I did find this really cool $5 Johnson & Friends picture book from 1991. It's not worth any money really. Like, I might keep it for myself. I think it's worth about $30 on eBay, but it was just like, okay, we're getting in the zone. We're starting things off. I've bought something. I've opened my wallet, $5 for a pretty cool Johnson & Friends book, picture book. Let's just ride this momentum into the next one. We get back in the car, we head off. The second one that we went to, I mean, we bought something else, and unironically, we got a great deal on Christmas wrapping paper. I don't know why these cunts were selling Christmas wrapping paper, but we're able to get like something like 30 meters for $2. And with Christmas coming up and wrapping paper from say Kmart, like $6-7 for like 3 meters. I don't know what it really is. I can't remember the last time I bought Christmas wrapping paper. It just seemed like a good deal. So I'm sort of like, I hope you can see how I'm like spending my money in these first couple ones. I'm just like, I'm wanting to open my wallet and just like get a car full of fucking shit, right? So we get this wrapping paper and we're looking around. There's no one else around, by the way. At these garage sale trails, there are so many on that you can be the first one to all of these, and that's what we were for this one. They had these two brand new Dell computer monitors sitting on a table with a price tag that said $20 each, or two for $35. I was talking to the guy and he said they were brand new, given to him by his work. He just never used them, and just by looking at them, I knew I'd be able to get more than what's $35 divided by 2? $17.50. They are brand new in the box, sealed in the box. Like, these have to be at least $100. So I say to Sam, we're getting both, one for you, one for me. I pay the man the $35. I'm starting to be like, all right, like, we're getting some shit. Okay, I didn't bother to look them up at the time. They didn't really have distinct model numbers on them that I could see. So put them in the car and we're on to the next one. So at the next two sales, I spent a combined $5, and I was picking up things that I wouldn't usually pick up, but I was taking risks. These are prices that you can take risks with. You can gamble with it. The first thing that I bought was this Jarvis Walker fishing reel. Now, the reason that I bought this was because I know that fishing reels, for whatever reason, can cost like a lot of money. Like, dude spent a lot of money on this sort of shit, and the markings on the reel plus the weight of this thing, I thought, well, maybe this is worth a bit of money. You know, it said on the fishing reel like stainless steel main shaft. It said something like multiple ball bearings, and like just holding this thing, it had like this gold trim around it. I'm like, okay, that's $4. This can't be like worth any less than $4. And like I said, I don't know the first thing about fishing. Now, if we go back to high school, I did fishing technically as a sport. In high school, you could choose what sport you wanted to do. I think on like a Tuesday afternoon. Some kids did basketball at school. Some kids went and played tennis. Me and my group of friends, we chose to do fishing. You had to pay $5. But the thing was, none of us were into fishing. We only chose fishing because you could take a bus, go to the water, and all we would do is go and buy, you know, food and drink and just sit around and bludge and fucking talk shit. You know, the amount of times us being on the bus and the teacher would say, all right, where do you want to go? And we would all advocate for the place with the best chips, but we would say, oh, we hear the fish were biting well, like, you know, over the weekend, so we should go there. And the teacher was like, oh yeah, okay, let's go there. The thing is, like, we got so obvious with what we were doing that they had to mandate a rule that you had to bring like either a fishing rod or a handrail, because we just wouldn't fucking do anything when we got there. And even when they mandated that, we would get a handrail and just like chuck the fishing line in the water. No hook, no bait. We would, just to look like we were doing something. So that is where my knowledge of fishing begins and ends. To me, it's just an excuse to hang out with friends. So the reel felt high quality. It had the markings on it. I thought it could be a home run, but no, I couldn't see any comps for this thing online. It might not be that great. I listed it up on eBay for $50. So far, it doesn't have a single viewer or a single watcher, so that might have been a bad purchase, but it was only $1. No, it was only $4, so who really cares? But the luck definitely changed on the next garage sale, because I paid $1 for what is a vintage Cindy doll fridge. I saw the box with the $1 sticker on it, and it just looked old to me. I eventually came to realize that this Cindy fridge, Cindy as a brand, right, is sort of like Barbie. It was created in the UK back in the 70s, and they created it as the rival to Barbie. And in the UK, it became like this really, really popular toy until the company got greedy. They tried to introduce Cindy into the US. They completely failed. And then Hasbro, which is the creator of Barbie, is Hasbro the creator of Barbie? Hasbro bought the rights to Cindy. They wanted Cindy to look more American, so it gave fucking a facelift to this Cindy doll. That was really the end of Cindy as a brand. So this fridge, it came in its original box. Okay, it's a doll's fridge, right? It doesn't have a Barbie, it doesn't have a doll with it. Just picture a Barbie doll sized fridge inside of a box. Inside of the fridge, it had its original accessories. You know, it had like little pizzas and little drink cans. They were still sealed in the original plastic. And then at the bottom of the box, it had its original instructions. So I thought, this is pretty cool. I mean, I didn't take it out at the time, but once I got home and saw that it was all in there, I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. And then when I was looking it up online, I could see that batteries could be inserted into the back of it. I completely missed that. So I got some AA batteries, put the batteries in the back, and what do you know, when you open the door, there's like a little light that turns on. It's so fucking cute. So it technically works. I look up comps online, and we have them ranging up to about $85 in the UK. That's with like the working light. We have a $50 comp just for the fridge. We have like an $85 comp for the fridge in the box. So I'm thinking like, okay, we're in Australia now. We're adding on our Australia tax. I could list this up for $100. with the sealed accessories, the working fridge light, and I paid $1 for this fridge. Like, fuck yeah, I'm going to do that. So that's what I did, put it up online, and wait till the end of this to see, I mean, just how quickly it's sold, right? There's a spoiler for you. But that was really the only sort of vintage doll from this sale. That was a tiny bit later in the day. But after that one, you know, our energy levels, they were still pretty high. We weren't finding too much. Like, I just bought that Cindy fridge from that sale, spent $1. I'm trying my hardest to find items that I can, you know, resell. And we're on to the next suburb. Sam has gotten into this, you know, stage of asking like, oh, where's the next suburb? I don't know. I guess she's curious. And the map was telling me like the directions, but I couldn't see the end suburb. And we drive past like the sign of this particular place. And Sam's like, oh, God. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, this is a dodgy area. I'm like looking around. I'm like, it looks fine. And then she takes out a phone and she takes a photo to send to her partner, almost to say like, look where we are. And I'm thinking, well, that's not a good sign. And she says to me like, oh yeah, some cops, they don't take up the calls for this area. I'm like, what? Where the fuck are we? I'm looking around and honestly, it looks fine. I'm seeing like, I'm not seeing like kids riding their bikes on the street and families like pushing their kid on a swing, but it looks fine to me. So I don't really think anything of it. And we pull up at the next sale and Sam's gotten that into my head. And you know, before when Mum and Sam have told me like, don't die on your marketplace pickups. Now that's in my head. And pull up at this sale and Sam's like, I'll get out too, just in case, you know, you're going to get murdered. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? So we get out and this sale, you know, everything's fine. People are nice. They had some interesting items though, you know, like Gucci bags. They had like a women's Rolex. They had like brand name clothing, sealed sort of makeup-y shit. And I'm thinking like, this has to be fake, right? Like this isn't genuine. Sam is saying to me, she's suggesting that it's like stolen goods. You know, I don't know though. I'm thinking like maybe this person's a market seller. Some of the stuff just isn't real, because they also had multiple Wii consoles. So my mind is all over the place at this thing. I probably shouldn't be thinking too much into it. I should be focused, right? So I didn't pick up any of that stuff. You know, I was saying to Sam afterwards, this is a thing with garage sales. Like if you see a Gucci bag for say $20, your mind is immediately going to think like, well, this is fake, so I'm going to leave it behind. In what instance do you ever pick those up? Maybe if you know how to identify them, but at every single sale, I'm just going to assume that the really high-end designer stuff is fake. Like it's a bit tricky. Maybe the only way to deal with that is to like profile the people that are selling them, right? Like, or profiling the area. You know, maybe if this wasn't in what Sam would describe as a dodgy area, maybe this was in like, you know, a Sydney harborside mansion, then you'd be able to think, well, maybe it's real. But at the same time, like rich people buy fake shit too. Like it's not just, I don't know. Anyway, I steered away from that stuff. I did see 2 Harry Potter items there that I took a shot on. So the first one was a backpack. It was a Book of Monsters, the Monster Book of Monsters Harry Potter backpack. It was in really good condition. It had like this faux fur around the outside, and if you're familiar with the Monster Book of Monsters, it has like teeth. It's like a book in the films that is also like a monster, so it has teeth and shit. I saw that. I saw a $25 price tag, and you know, that's a lot of money for a garage sale. But I saw a brand on it, and the brand was Loungefly, and for some reason, I don't know why, that brand sort of like stuck with me. And I was like, oh, this is a good brand. So I was a bit unsure, but then I was like looking at it. I was thinking this, you could surely at least double your money on this bag, you know, 25 into 50. But yeah, I was a bit 50-50 whether or not to pick it up. But the other thing was a sorting hat, like this talking sorting hat. And again, something within me was like, I swear these sorting hats can go for good money. No idea if it worked. But eventually I would buy both of these. I'd also get these strategy guides from that place. But yeah, I looked up the comps for it. The backpack sells on a website called Pop Culture for $120 brand new, and the sorting hat on eBay goes for around $70 to $80. So they're okay purchases, no home runs. Again, I'm just buying stuff so that we have a full car. And at the end of the day, Harry Potter is such a massive IP that I really don't think I'm going to have too much trouble selling them. They will sell, whether or not it's like a day, 2 days, or like, weeks or months, I think I'll get rid of them. But the other things that were there were these strategy guides. They were in Japanese and they were $5 each. I had no idea what the fuck they were. The only words that I could read on this, I swear to God, was strategy guide. And it had like these hand-drawn illustrations of these women with swords and stuff on the front and the back. I flicked through it. It looked like a video game, so I picked those up, $5 each, and they comp up really well. But yeah, after that, the day is slowly getting on, and I'm about those purchases, I'm not feeling like that great. They're good. I'm going to make money on all of them, but I'm not thinking like this is a home run. I'm wanting to replicate last year where Sam was able to sell something that we picked up within 3 fucking minutes. I'm wanting like that really good home run, excited feeling, not just like, a couple of things here and there. So then we go into probably the most overpriced garage sale that I've been to in 2025. Like, this is an undercover carport, and it's full of pop culture items. They're like Marvel stuff, Avengers. There's like everything from books to collectibles, movies, random knickknacks, all that sort of shit, arranged in like this horseshoe layout. There was also a Lucky Dip box there, 50 cents for a Lucky Dip, and you best believe that I picked up 2 of those. I'm a fucking sucker for that sort of stuff. And I'm looking at the prices, and they're really, really high. I'm walking around and I see like this Marvel medallion looking thing. Like, it says limited edition on it. It's sort of like shaped like a triangle medal. It's really heavy. I couldn't see any names of what it was. And I also haven't seen like the Marvel films or the Avengers films, so I don't know what it is. But the woman said that her daughter bought it for $95 and is asking for $45. And I'm thinking, all right, cool. That's a bit too expensive for me and probably everyone else that is going to be coming to this garage sale. It's most likely a slow seller. It probably hasn't increased in value. Like, this thing wouldn't be fucking made out of silver. Like, this isn't precious metal that will go up in value. This is probably, something junky, right? It probably sells on eBay for that price. And then the daughter comes out and she's like, I'm not asking for $45. I'm like, oh, she's a bit more reasonable. And then she was like, I'm wanting at least $65. I'm like, oh, I guess not. And I'm thinking this for all of these people with insane prices, is that at the end of this sale, you're going to have to bring all of this shit back in yourself. You're not going to sell fucking anything here. Like, the prices were just too high for a sale. It was the theme of the day, I guess. I would guess that probably half of the sales we went to had eBay-like prices. Some of the prices were also above eBay. Like, we went to one sale and I'm looking at them and I'm like, what the fuck are you guys smoking to have these prices? And I'm looking at the table and I'm like, oh, they're beers. Like, oh, they're not smoking, they're drinking beers. And I said to Sam, like, I get back in the car, I'm like, they were drinking beers. Did you see that? There was like beers all around, like strewn around the yard. She's like, yeah, I saw that. I'm like, it's 8:30 in the morning. But anyway, back to that overpriced sale that we were looking through. The Marvel stuff, Avengers stuff, leave all that behind. But then hanging on a shelf inside of a sandwich bag, it was the first real item that I thought was going to be a really quick seller. And it was a sandwich bag full. I mean, not full, but they had 2 Nintendo 3DS games inside of them, and they were both Pokemon. There was a game called Pokemon Ultra Sun and Pokemon White 2. Now, this lady says they're my son's, and he wants $10 each. Now, in case you hadn't really noticed, this woman, and people at garage sales do this a lot, anything you look at or like seemingly touch, they will make comments on. And that's one of my pet peeves. You're looking at anything, it's like you're playing the symphony and all you have to do to make someone talk is just pick something up. So I thought, hell yeah, I'm going to be paying $10 each for these games. So I grabbed those, paid $20. I grabbed 2 Lucky Dips for $1, and I bailed out of there, right? Like the thing is, though, the surprising thing, I guess, is that this sale was about midday, and I had a $50 note, and I said to this lady, do you have enough change if I give you a $50? I was paying $21, I guess. And she said yes. And then she was like, if it was earlier, no. And she was like, somebody rocked up at 7 a.m. here wanting to split a 50, and she said no. And those people completely missed the game. Like, whoever came between the morning that they opened and midday had walked past these games. And I swear, these must have been the most valuable games I mean, the most valuable items at this entire sale. But it's funny, like everything was priced up at this sale so high, almost at eBay levels, if not above, that when I bought these games, I was sort of second guessing myself. I was like, well, if everything else is eBay prices, then these two games, like, they mustn't be that great. You know, at the time I was buying them, I was like, these are pretty good games, aren't they? Like, I'm thinking, I didn't comp them up. I was like, these are good. Like, they're Pokemon. I'm pretty sure I saw on a YouTube video the other day, I can't remember which one it was, they all blend together, but somebody found this Pokemon White 2 game and it was a really, really expensive game. I'm not getting excited. I'm just thinking, fuck, did we like just pick up two games that were maybe like worth $30 each? Like, I'm not getting excited. It was a fucking shame because I wish I looked up comps at the time because I would have got really fucking excited. The reason why is that Pokemon Ultra Sun, it has sold comps in November just the other day for $110, and White 2 has sold comps in November the other day for $180 plus post. So these two games that we paid $20 for are worth $240. Like, what the fuck? Like, I really wish I had looked that up at the time. We would have both got excited and we would have like gotten another hit of energy. Like, we would have got a second wind. You know, I kept Ultra Sun for myself. I listed on eBay for $90. Sam kept White 2, listed on Marketplace for $150. That's a good home run, right? 20 into 240. So anyway, without looking up those eBay comps and being 36 degrees outside, we're getting worn down, right? We've hit up so many garage sales. We've done that small talk. We're driving around, striking out. It's wearing us down. And we've got 2 left for the day. So we make the decision, yes, we're going to finish it. We're going to psych ourselves up. We're going to finish the trail. And then we'll consider it mission accomplished. We'll go back and we'll have a look at everything that we bought. So I'm glad that we didn't give up because we got good deals at both of these last 2 sales. I was able to get a Melbourne Storm jersey from 2014. I paid $35 for it, sold comps at about $150. So we're going to make about $100 on that. And the second sale that we went to, I mean, the last sale, but the second one from there, yeah, was a sale run by a bunch of old ladies. So we had lots of wool, we had lots of knitting needles, we had some old Barbie, glassware, books, all that sort of stuff. But then inside of a cheap plastic bag, we had a huge lot of Cabbage Patch dolls. And I'm not talking about the big ones. I'm talking about the small ones, the mini Cabbage Patch dolls. Now, just like when you're looking for anything that needs to be authenticated, that's what I was doing for these. And Sam is looking at me thinking like, what the fuck are you doing? Because the way to authenticate these Cabbage Patch dolls, you're looking for the signature, but the signature is on the butt of these things. So you have to like take off the articles of clothing. You need to pull down their pants. Sam's like, what the fuck are you doing? So I was able to see that the signature was on, you know, I looked at 2 or 3 that was on them. So I made the conscious decision to be like, well, the signature must be on all of them. I could see in the bag that they had like their original birth certificates too. That's what comes with Cabbage Patch dolls. So I'm like, this could be a good deal. Like, there's a whole bunch of them in the bag. I go up to the lady, ask for a price, and she's like, how about $10? I'm like, bargain, done. Pay her $10. So we get back to Sam's place and we're looking at the Cabbage Patch dolls online, and the sold listings are a bit chaotic. You know, they're all over the place. These Cabbage Patch dolls, they used to come in soft bodies, which is what the ones we had were. They did come in like hard bodies, like PVC plastic type shit. So most of the sold comps were a mixture of those, plus maybe a big Cabbage Patch doll, you know, sewn into that mix. So I couldn't really tell what we were going to list them up for, but I took a stab in the dark. You know, we paid $10. I listed them up for $250. So that got us feeling a bit better. You know, we still didn't feel, I mean, at least me, I still didn't feel like we had a crazy day. But then, you know, you start to add up all of these prices, everything that you bought, the listed value, what you spent. It's crazy to think that we weren't happy with what we bought or we weren't excited, because if we run through it, I'll just quickly run through it now for you, and then I'll tell you the total amount spent and the listed value. We have the Johnson & Friends 5 into 30, 2 monitors 35 into 250, the fishing reel 4 into 50, the Cabbage Patch 10 into 250, the Pokemon 20 into 240, the Cindy fridge $1 into 100, Harry Potter 3 into 150, strategy guides 10 into 80, the jersey 35 into 150, the Lucky Dips $1 into fucking nothing because inside the Lucky Dips was shit. I mean, inside the Lucky Dips Sam got this hand cream thing. It had this smell that reminded me of sherbet bombs, if you remember them from back in the day. I got like these knockoff Star Wars plastic toy soldiers. But I mean, they were cool. I like a Lucky Dip. Everyone loves a Lucky Dip. But anyway, the total amount that we spent on that Saturday for garage sales was $151. The total listed value was $1,300. So here we are thinking, we did okay. We're going to turn $150 into $1,300. Providing everything sells, of course, but these are sort of conservative prices. Like, we're not reaching for the stars. Like, $151 into $1,300. So look, day one, it's a success. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what I say or what Sam says. It was a success. We both had fun. Sam had fun. She wants to hit him up again on Saturday. She wants to go again. I get home and I list... no, I shouldn't say I list everything up because I didn't. I don't think I listed anything up that night. I was just fucking zonked, right? We did so much driving. Sam was an hour away from me. So even after all of that driving from like 6 in the morning till... I think we got back to her place at maybe 2 o'clock. However, like that's almost like a full 8-hour day of just driving around, getting out, getting back in the car. I was completely done. Fucking ordered some pad CU and went to bed. But before going to bed, I needed to do my route for Sunday because best believe it, I'm not wasting the garage sale trail. I am doing it on the Saturday, on the Sunday. And on Sunday, we had some insane finds. And I was joined this time by a buddy of mine. So I've got some leftover cash in my wallet. I withdrew $300. I spent $151. Almost like the perfect amount for day one. And then for day two, I have the same amount, right? So here we go for Sunday, right? Like energy levels, they're okay. They're not the best. They're not the worst. But let's do it on Sunday. We have the route up, and guess what? We're going to another fucking 30 garage sales. When I said that to my friend, he was like, what time are you picking me up? I was like, just give me a minute. I'm going to do the route. And then I say, I'm picking you up at this time. I think it was 8 o'clock, starting a bit later. Mostly because it was a Sunday. And when it comes to garage sale trail on a Sunday, a lot of people, they just won't put anything out. They'll do it on the Saturday, and then they'll be like, we can't be fucked. Let's not do it. And then, I don't know, I guess they sleep in. They don't bother it. So I know that, like, there's no point getting up at 6 a.m. to hit up a sale when there's a high likelihood it's not even going to be on. Oh, and then I tell my friend, we're doing 30. And he's like, oh. Like, wow. So, pick him up. We're on our way. Very first sale. We rock up. My head's in, like, this bookshelf, and my friend goes off. And then, like, some fucking video game bloodhound, he comes back to me with something that I've never seen at a sale before. It's a fucking Nintendo Game Boy bundle. Now, it's not the games, and it's not the console, but some really, really cool accessories. Like we've got an original case, like a carry case. We have a Game Boy printer. We have a Game Boy camera. We have the printer paper. We have the original receipts. We have the manuals. Like, this thing, I've never seen. I don't even think I've seen it before in person. A Game Boy printer and a camera. Like, I cannot imagine how bad the resolution is on this camera, right? Like, this Game Boy, when did the Game Boy come out? Like 1999, something like that? I cannot imagine the camera on this. Why am I saying I cannot imagine? I tested out the camera. The camera is fucking bad. I cannot imagine. Why do I keep saying I cannot imagine when I don't need to imagine? I've seen it in person. I've done it now. The camera's really fucking bad. Why anybody would buy this besides just, I guess, displaying it is besides me, because it's just, they're fucking like, there's like 6 pixels on the screen and that's it. So we found that with the original receipt. We found the carry bag, a display case for the original Game Boy. And this is on a Sunday. A Sunday. This garage sale was open on the Saturday, yet for some reason this stuff is still there. Wild. Why? Why? What happened? Why is this still here on a Sunday? Maybe they had it priced incredibly high and people just left it behind, or they were overlooked, or, and this is my theory, there are so many garage sales on this particular weekend that the people that are going to be buying these video game type items just don't go to them. We're thinking fucking Game Boy shit at the very first sale. I've said this friend of mine has come to a garage sale before and we've never found anything. And then for the trail to find Game Boy stuff straight off the bat, like fucking hell. So we get that, we hold on to that, and then we're walking around and I see something that sparks my interest, something that I think is really fucking cool. It's a phone box. It isn't like a home phone box. It's a Nokia 1610. Now this 1610, you know, I've found and I've bought a complete in box Nokia 3315 before. I sold that for like $150. I have a weird soft spot for this sort of stuff. So I see this Nokia 1610. I'm like, holy shit. This looks like it's in mint condition. The Game Boy stuff had the original receipts from when they bought the Game Boy. This thing looks like, you know, it's been stored in a safe and it has the slipcase on it. I took that off. It has the cardboard. I opened up the cardboard. Inside of it, it had the phone. It looked like it was in perfect condition. It had all the instruction manuals, the charger, the handset, fucking everything inside. I'm like, holy shit, this thing is fucking cool. I want to buy this. I'm also thinking like, I mean, the Nokia 1610, I don't think is as popular as the 3315, at least for my generation, but this thing came out when I was 4 years old, so maybe it was. Maybe the older generation have that nostalgia for this phone. I don't know. So we have those two items. We have the complete in box Nokia 1610. By the way, this thing looks like a fucking brick. A brick with an antenna on top of it. And we have the Game Boy stuff. We ask how much they want for it. They're like, oh, I don't really know. I think the phones are collectible now. We think both of these are a collectible, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, would you take $50? They said, done, deal. We're out of there. That's a fucking steal to me. $50 in total for all of that stuff. Like, if we look at comps, this stuff is so collectible that you could literally part out every single piece of this. And that includes, like, the genuine transfer cable for the printer. Like, you could part that out and get like $30 or so for it. But what I decided to do, I decided to bundle together all of the camera stuff, like the camera and the printer stuff, and then I decided to bundle together the cases by themselves. So looking at the eBay comps, the printer, the Game Boy printer sells for $150. The camera looks to be about $90. The case, $50 for both those cases, sorry. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but the Game Boy accessories also included the Game Boy printer paper with the original box. Inside of that box was 2 rolls of the paper. I wouldn't call it film, but the paper. And inside of the Game Boy printer was like the opened roll of paper. So we had like 3 rolls of this shit. That sells, there's a comp here on bid for $28 within Australia. I don't know if this stuff is popular here, but either way, I listed this shit up, the camera and the printer bundle for $300 and the case bundle for $100. So that's $400 for that Game Boy shit, and I paid $25, or I guess we paid $25 for it. Now, in terms of the phone, I got a shock. I sold the 3315, one of the most popular Nokia phones, earlier this year for $150. And then I look up this phone, the Nokia 1610. I see a sale in October for just the phone by itself for $133. And then I see a comp directly below it in October, Nokia 1610, original box and charger for $379, marked it down from $445. So I'm like, $380 completing box? No fucking way. So this now becomes my favorite item. I tested the phone. It made like a beeping sound when I plugged it in, and then it didn't turn on. I did a bit of Googling. Somebody has had this problem before, and people chimed in saying that the issue is that the battery is completely dead. The battery needs to be replaced, which makes sense because this thing is like 4 years younger than me and I'm fucking old as fuck. But anyway, I was able to list up this like old dead phone for $250. So straight off the bat, we've bought $50 worth of stuff, listed up for over $500. So that very first garage sale of Sunday is a success. So just think how you would feel if you had 30 garage sales for the day and the very first one, you find Nintendo Game Boy shit. Like, you're on a high, right? Or you're thinking like it's all downhill from here. Either way. So we strike out at the next couple, and we're seeing like some really crazy sticker prices on this shit. Like, no joke. We turn up to one sale and I say to my friend, like, I went to this one last year. Like, I recognized this driveway. I recognized like walking up this long ass driveway last year. We're just going to drive right to the end because I remember there was visitor parking there. And I said to my friend, this sale was filled with like desirable items, but they were all eBay prices. I remember like this young Asian woman sitting behind the stuff that she had laid out. And then we rock up there, and what do you know? It was the exact same stuff. I didn't see the young Asian woman, so I'm like, oh, maybe this wasn't the same place. And then what do you know? Inside, out comes the young Asian woman. I'm like, oh, there we go. Then I'm looking around, yeah, literally the same stuff as last year. It had a ton of Final Fantasy stuff. This is how I know, I'm not even kidding, this is how I remember that Final Fantasy isn't that great of a game on PlayStation 2 in terms of value. You know, it's worth like, most of the titles aren't worth anything, and they had like some display pieces, they had a CD rack with different shelves, and they had pricing starting at like this shelf $7.50, and then the next shelf like this shelf $15 for fucking CDs. And then they had like a binder full of Pokemon cards, and I think they started like $30 each, not even worth going through. I don't think they would have been selling much for that day. I mean, we were the only ones there when we went there, didn't buy anything. I said to them, I remember you guys from last year, I guess I'll see you again next year. There's fucking nothing was selling, and I swear to God, the exact same items were there. Like, garage sales and their eBay style pricing. The guy even said to me, like, I couldn't find any comps for this specific thing. It's like a store display sign of Final Fantasy. It's still going to be there next year. They're not going to sell anything. But anyway, after we left there, we went on like this really weird run of finding like video game consoles, and honestly I felt like such a typical like bro reseller, and I was finding it like, you know, I was finding it fun, but at the same time like, I'm not looking forward to talking about just finding video game stuff. Like, that's the only thing that I'm finding. It's not that interesting, you know. Maybe these sellers, these people hosting the sales, considering it's Sunday, had them priced up on the Saturday, and people just left them behind, and then on the Sunday they were just happy to get rid of them, because this person had an Xbox 360 bundle. It included like 2 controllers, a Kinect, plus like maybe 10 to 15 games, and 4 of those games were sealed. She said, how much do you want to pay? And I don't like lowballing people. Like, I honestly should have started at like $20, but I don't like to insult people with offers. So I said $50. She said, done, deal. And I left with that. The 4 sealed games, they weren't, you know, crazy heavy hitters, but they were still good enough to justify buying this entire bundle. There was Halo, there was a Halo 4, Call of Duty, there was like a Fable game, and I think there was like a Kinect game in there. This Xbox 360 sells for a decent amount of money, and then you include all the games, the controllers. This is like 50 into 300. And then we go to the next one, and it's like an old married couple. You know, old married couples sometimes have Wiis laying around. They had like they had a Wii console, some controllers, some games. They had the Wii balance board, which is always fucking fun to buy, and it was inside 2 bags. She said, you can have it all for $10. I was like, done. You know, Wii console bundle with 3 sealed games. The sealed games were like, one of them was like Wii Active, which is nothing. One of them was Wii Sports, which I thought was okay. And then as I'm picking up the bags, he's like, oh, let me go get the balance board. And sort of annoying because then you have to deal with that. And I ended up donating it. But yeah, a Wii bundle for $10, listed it for $120. It's already sold, by the way. So yeah, we went from Nintendo, Nintendo Game Boy to Xbox 360 to Nintendo Wii. So of course we're joking around like, oh, I wonder what the next console will be. Every time I go to a garage sale, I'm praying to the fucking thrift gods for like a cool 64 bundle. Never happens though. But anyway, the next sale, and I mean, we're getting through these fucking sales. Like, it is tiring. It is tiresome. We get to the next one, walk up the driveway. Outside of this place, I'm not kidding, swords, shields, you know, fencing swords. Like, the guy says to me, like, don't tell anyone I have these because I think they're illegal. Like, holy shit, they look pretty fucking cool. They had price tags on them, $100. If they weren't $100, I probably would have bought them. They were pretty fucking cool. So we walk inside this place, and there was collectible shit everywhere. The lady that was running it was really nice, but I think these people they were like hoarders but for collectibles, and there was some Barbie stuff there, brand new sealed Barbie. Like, they look like the deluxe packages. They all had insane sticker prices, like $100 plus. But the lady said when she was getting married, people were giving her these collectibles as a way for her to keep them, and then when she retires to sell them, I guess implying that they're going to be worth money in the future. I don't think Barbie increases in value that much, but yeah, they were open on the Saturday. She said they went gangbusters on that fucking Saturday, and we're there on the Sunday. So I'm looking around, they had a huge bookshelf. They had books, they had VHS, they had Harry Potter collectibles, they had New Age stuff, spirituality stuff. I'm just trying to find some cool stuff, and I asked, on the bookshelf, how much were the books? She said $1 each. And I was able to snag some fucking vintage J.R.R. Tolkien. And again, this sale was open on the Saturday. It's now Sunday, and somehow people overlooked this box set, this 1974 Lord of the Rings box set. And just underneath that box set was The Hobbit, also from 1974. It blows my mind because here in Australia, you can get good money for this box set. The fact that we have the accompanying Hobbit next to it, like I'm looking at comps right now, and there's one here, the box set including the slipcase, for $150 plus postage. So I picked that up for $4 and I listed it up for $150. Like, what the fuck? How did people overlook this? And then I'm looking at the New Age shelf, the spiritual stuff, and I'm looking for vintage tarot cards because I watched a video the other day with the YouTuber Diary of a Flipper, and he came across a sealed pack of tarot cards at a garage sale, and they turned out to be worth like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So apparently it's a good niche to keep an eye out for. And it makes sense because earlier this year we sold the spiritual books, the Ringing Cedars. Do you remember those books? For $900. So this spiritual sort of shit is something to look out for. So the ones that I picked up for $5 were from 1999. They were called Healing with the Angels. They weren't worth hundreds, but I can see sold comps for these cards brand new. I mean, pre-owned, we're talking like $25, $30, but brand new, there are sold comps for $167, $127. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that, but I'm going to list mine up for about $80, and I paid $5 for them. So yeah, I was chatting with the owner. She was saying that they were being forced to move. They're moving out of their home and they're selling everything. And she was like, this is cringy to say, but after I pulled out the Tolkien book, she was like, I could tell you're a real collector. And she was like, I have a question for you. How would you sell off this stuff in a bulk lot? I was like, I don't really know in a bulk lot. She was like, I think I might send them off to the auctioneers. And I'm like, all right. And then I suggested, if she doesn't sell them in the next garage sale, she's going to be taking part in the sale trail next week. I'd be interested in a bulk deal, but I wouldn't be able to pay like the eBay style prices. And I gave her my number. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Who knows? Something might eventuate. But I was able to find some other miscellaneous items from some sales. After that, we found like some Dora the Explorer mega blocks. I found like a boring $10 DVD VHS combo, which had sold comps around the $300 mark. A random pair of $3 Converse Chuck Taylor shoes, which we think belonged to a dead man. I got them just because I saw like the Chuck Taylor signature on the side of them, and I thought, maybe they're okay. But yeah, at the final sale, I found something that I'd been keeping an eye out for months. Here's the thing, when I have a bit of spare time, I like to look up sold listings for items that I regularly see at thrift stores, and then I sort by like highest first. So I do this for like niches that I usually overlook in the hopes of finding basically cool new home runs. So I've done it for cooking books, I've done it for CDs, that type of thing. Areas in a thrift store that I would usually just walk straight past because I don't know anything about them. And one of them that I was interested in was Stephen King. People always talk about Stephen King as like a item to resell, but you can jump onto eBay now and find a first edition hardcover Stephen King book for as low as $30. So I don't want to be chalking up my home with like hardcover Stephen King books, just waiting for them to sell and having to store them around. So that's not really where the money is. The money is, if you want a $100 plus Stephen King book, you need to keep an eye out for the Barkman books. So the Barkman books is like a compilation short stories that Stephen King wrote under a pseudonym, and even in the paperback format, you can get a lot of money for this. So the final sale of the day inside a literal garage was a pile of Stephen King books. So I quickly looked through the books for this title, and what do you know? It's there. First ever time I've come across it. The sticky note had a price of $150 for all 15 of the books, but I asked them if he would sell them individually. And I think because it was a Sunday and the sale was on the Saturday too, so they're winding down. This is almost in the afternoon too. He was like, yes, that's fine. I said, I just wanted the single paperback. How much for it? He said $2. Done. Listed it up for $150. This paperback isn't even in the best condition. You know, I'm looking at the eBay sold comps right now. Within Australia, $189 plus 14 postage, $170 plus $11 postage. This book sells for so much fucking money. By the way, now that I've found this Bachman book, the next one I'm going to be looking out for, it's a book called Rage. Now, Rage is contained within this sort of compilation book, but as a standalone book, man, I want to find this. I don't know if I ever will, it's that rare, but Stephen King released this book in 1977, and because of the topic of the book, which is a school shooting, he asked his publisher to take it out of print, and they obliged, of course. And to this day, it's one of the most desirable Stephen King books for collectors to own. And if you find it out there, first of all, you're incredibly fucking lucky, but second of all, that thing, you can go and list that up on eBay for about $5,000. Not even kidding. I mean, there's so few of them available. I've looked up to see how many were printed just to see if like this is a endeavor worth pursuing, and there's no real data out there on how many were printed, at least in my research. But there's one listed on eBay now for just under $5,000 with like 60 fucking people watching it. There's a sold listing as well for just under $4,000. So I really want to find this book. Any Stephen King bundle of books that I find at a garage sale or a thrift store, I'm going to try and find the book Rage, and I think you should too. So I think like at the end of the day, we did okay for this day too. You know, the Game Boy stuff at the beginning was good. We went through all those consoles. So let's just quickly recap, and I'll tell you the original prices for total spent, listed value. Yeah, let's just run through it. So tarot cards, 5 into 80. Bachman book, 2 into 150. Lord of the Rings, 4 into 150. Dora the Explorer Mega Blocks, 10 into 80. Nokia 1610, 25 into 250. Game Boy bundle, 25 into 400. Wii bundle, 10 into 120. Xbox bundle, 50 into 300. Shoes, 3 into 50. LG DVD VHS combo, 10 into 300. Fucking hell. We have a total spent of $144 and a listed value of $1,880. Fucking hell. I think I had $5 left over in my wallet. I almost spent $300 for the entire weekend. How did we go for the entire weekend? The total amount spent over the entire weekend was $295, and the listed value was $3,180. What the fuck? That is insane. To call this a success is an understatement. Like, this is a fucking triumph. To be able to spend almost $300 and turn it into over $3,000, providing, of course, it all sells, is insane. Like, it's a testament to garage sales as a side hustle. It's proof that the more that we learn, the more hidden gems we can uncover. And it's a fucking demonstration that in 2025, you can make a side income from reselling. And if you're not doing it right now and you're listening to this, you fucking like money, you need money, you want money, go out to garage sales this weekend, try and find some items, because $300 into $3,000, are you serious? You need to be doing this. You need to be following fucking Flip Weekly and making some extra money. And of course, will I be hitting them up again this weekend? Fuck yes. Now look, we're going to go through real quick what was sold this week, including the items that we picked up over the weekend, because it's been a busy fucking week of shipping. I've had a sale every single day, which means I've had to go to the post office every single day. You know, this is the reality for probably many of you out there. But for me, you know, trying to sell items just with an average sale price of over $100, I don't get a sale every day, which is good. I don't have to go back to that post office. But this week, insane sales. It might be the Christmas rush. It might be just the stuff that we've found on Marketplace and on the garage sale trail. But we're going to run through them real quick. The very first sale, it was a bundle of Animorphs books that I picked up from Facebook Marketplace for $80. I spent on them, and they sold for $400. Now, all of these Animorphs books were the first print, the Scholastic first print. They also came with these bookends. And I think the reason they had so many eyeballs on them and they sold for this amount of money is because these bookends are very hard to get. You should know that it's the same lesson as Goosebumps, where anything Animorphs that aren't the books you should be picking up. So that's like t-shirts, the keychains, any sort of merchandise. If you find these bookends just by themselves, they're all rare, they're all highly sought after, and collectors pay big money for them. The next thing that I sold were the Made in Abyss mangas. Now, I found these at a Savers. I paid $37 in total, and they sold for $250. These were the manga books that I was embarrassed to be walking around with. They had weird covers on them. They all looked like children. They all were sort of creepy. And yeah, I'm glad to have them outside of my home. Just remember that manga can do well. Don't pass up on them at a Savers if you see them. Pick them up because you'll have this $250 sale day. So the next thing that I sold, picked up for $20 on Facebook Marketplace. It sold for $180. It was a Nintendo NES Classic Mini Console. This was maybe last week or the weekend before. Me as like a 30-year-old man, I successfully hustled a kid out of a Nintendo. And that sale has gone through. $20 into $180. From that bundle deal, you might remember it. We still have a majority of the handhelds still to sell. There's like the Pokemon Game Boy, there's a 2DS, plus the 3DS that comes with all the games. The listings were priced up quite high, and I did that because I wanted to get top dollar and also because Christmas is coming up, and I thought, you know, video games are always selling. So we still have those to sell, but we've easily made our money back on that Facebook Marketplace deal. The next sale was from a Savers. It was a Thomas & Friends Complete Series 1 to 10 DVD. It was brand new. I paid $20 for it, and it sold for $110. So all aboard that Thomas train. The next item that sold I found for $3, and it sold for $90. It was a Wiggles Santa's Rockin' VHS tape. You know how much success I've had with the Wiggles on VHS. The Wiggles on VHS, the Wiggles on DVD, you can't go wrong with them. Any VHS I've found with the Wiggles, I've always listed up, usually for a minimum $50, just because of international sales. They can go cheap here in Australia, but you just need that international sale, and you can make a lot of money. Now, this was actually the second time that I've sold this exact VHS. The first time was unsuccessful because the buyer was, I don't know what was wrong with the buyer, but they were off with the fucking fairies because they accepted my best offer, and then we had a conversation which made me think that this person is just like fucking loopy, right? So I said to them what I usually say after somebody accepts a best offer. I wrote, "Thanks for the order. If you'd like to make payment ASAP, I'll pack it up and have it in the post for you. Thank you." And this person wrote back, "Sure. I don't have enough money, thanks. I need to save money. Please pay it to me straight away and deliver it to my house, please. Thank you." Now I'm thinking, like, what the fuck did this person just say to me? What? None of this makes any fucking sense. So I was like, "Would you like the order cancelled?" And I said that because they said they don't have enough money. And she wrote back, "No." I'm like, what the fuck? I said, when will you be making the payment? And they wrote back, "I don't know." Like, what do you even write to this person? What is wrong with this person? I like fucking brain dead cunt. I cancelled that order even after they said no to "would you like the order cancelled." I talked to eBay and I was like, how do I decipher this shit? And they were like, "Just cancel it, Matt." So that's been cancelled. And yeah, then it sold not long after. So that sold. Next thing, it was a book. It was called the Magnamund Companion. I think it's like a rule book for a tabletop game. I found it for $7. I sold it for $100. Always be selling your game rule books. They can sell for a lot of money. A DVD was next. It was the complete series of HR Puffin stuff. Bought it for $4, sold it for $60. I love HR Puffin stuff. It's got a soft spot in my heart from when I was a kid. Now, the next thing I sold, I actually didn't talk about buying it. I put up a poll on Instagram because I found this jigsaw puzzle. It had been opened. It was the brand Ravensburger, which is a good puzzle brand. And I found it in a Savers because I noticed it had the New York City skyline. And as soon as I see the New York City skyline, I look for the Twin Towers. The reason I look for the Twin Towers is because this was obviously made before 2001. Something happened to those towers, and anything that has them in it is, I mean, I don't want to say collectible, but people for some reason like to buy them. There's a whole category on eBay about pre 9/11, and yeah, there's a collector's market for stuff that features the Twin Towers. This puzzle had them in it, so I was like, oh shit, like I might be able to get some decent money for this. The thing is, the box was open, so it's not brand new. I don't know if puzzle pieces are missing, and it's 12,000 pieces. Now I can't just count up each individual piece like I've done before. Like if it's 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, like, oh man, that's probably an hour. I mean, that's hours of your time, right? But 12,000 pieces, I know for a fact I would get to, like, I don't know, 900, and then I would forget, or something would happen. I would get distracted and I'd need to start again. So it'd be almost impossible. I put up a poll on Instagram to ask people if they would buy this puzzle. Majority of them said yes. And the reason they said yes, because the comps on this fucking thing, they're a lot. They're like over $300. This thing has sold for close to $400 in the past, just because it's the New York City skyline with the Twin Towers. So you need to be keeping your eye out. If you see anything New York, always look for those Twin Towers. So yeah, I took a gamble on it. I bought it for $10. I brought it home. I opened it up and I could see that there was 2 sealed packs of puzzle pieces inside, but one of them was open, and I was, I found the first packet and I was like, hell yes. Second packet, hell yes. And then I noticed the puzzle piece was missing, open on the bottom. I was like, fuck. So yeah, I listed it up for $100, and somebody bought it within 4 days, which is really cool. So that's 10 into 100 in 4 days. Earlier this week, I saw that Funko had announced that they might not make it as a company by this time next year. They said that their sales are like going down, which makes sense. People have moved on to other things. Other cool collectibles like Labubu's, right? Thrift stores, they're full of Funkos now. Garage sales, especially this weekend, were full of Funkos. Nobody was buying them. But this was an exception. I sold a Funko, $8 into $80. It was like a wobbly bobblehead thing it was a character from the Banana Splits. Never heard of this thing, but apparently these wacky bobbler heads can sell for good money. And I mean, this one sold from $8 into $80, and it sold in 47 days, which is a decent sell-through rate for a Funko, right? Now, the next thing that sold was picked up from the garage sale trail, and it sold in just over an hour. It was the Cindy fridge, $1 into $100. So that really, really cute Cindy fridge was listed on eBay at 5:50 p.m. on that Sunday night, sold just over an hour later. I had no idea it was like really sought after. I would have listed it for more, obviously. I'll be keeping an eye out for that Cindy logo on anything in the future. I mean, I can't identify the dolls, but the logo is recognizable. So if I see it on like any fridges or any other furniture, then I'll be picking it up because it has a really good sell-through rate here in Australia. Cindy doll currently sits at like 159 active listings, 125 sold listings. So that sell-through rate's 80%. So if I can find something else like that this weekend at the garage sale trail, I'll definitely be buying it. The next thing that sold was a Donkey Kong 64 game. Sold for $65. That's pretty good. Those Nintendo 64 games that I bought in the Marketplace bundle have been going out at a steady pace. I am not sure if the $500 game has arrived in Spain yet. I would think that it has. The fact I haven't got a dispute, I'm very, very happy with. Hopefully that was all legit. So, yeah, I'll again keep you updated with that. But the next sale was a Nintendo Wii that was picked up from the garage sale trail. That was $10 into $120. That sold in 48 hours. So yeah, Wiis are still selling to this day. Who would have guessed? Now, the next sale was a DVD. It was E Street Collection 1. This was an old Australian soap opera. I found it for $15. Sold for $115. So that's E Street. This was Collection 1. I've never seen Collection 2 or Collection 3 or whatever the fuck it goes up to in a thrift store before. I can't even see any mentions of it online. So who fucking knows if it's out there. But if you find it, list it up for insane money, right? The next sale was the sale from day one of the garage sale trail, which was the Japanese strategy guides. They were bought for $10 and they sold for $80. To tell you the truth, they were out the door so quickly that I didn't really get a chance to flick through them or see what they really were. I don't know what the game was, I don't know anything about them. Like I don't even know if they were strategy guides. I just listed them up and yeah, they were sold really quickly. The only reason I bought them was because I saw the word strategy guide and these game guide books combining with the fact that they were like these Japanese things. I thought, well, take a shot on them. And the final sale that I'll tell you about was the mini Cabbage Patch Dolls pickup from the garage sale trail has sold for $250. So that was $10 into $250 in 72 hours. I chalk this up to general scarcity because when I'm looking on eBay, I couldn't really see many of these like soft body mini Cabbage Patch Kids, and there's a huge collector's market for this sort of thing. And $250 must have been that sweet spot. So these things got like 57 views in those 72 hours. Easily the most popular find of the week. So if you find Cabbage Patch Kids out in the wild, pick them up. Now that's all I've got for you this week. Make sure you check out flipweekly.com for all the photos from this week's garage sale trail and the sales that we've made. If you're listening on Spotify, give us a full 5-star rating. For whatever reason, we've dropped down to a 4.8 rating. If you're on YouTube, drop us a like, comment, and subscribe. I hope that I've motivated you to hit up the trail over the weekend. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you again next week.
Flip, 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 flip.
Flip Weekly.